Hello lovelies, thank you for picking this video. I hope you enjoy it. This is putting like two of my favourite games at the moment. Sims is always my favourite game. That has certainly become completely true, especially since I've been doing these builds. But anyway, taking two games I absolutely love and just sort of mashing them together, and I really hoped that this would be amazing. So I changed like several times, so many times, just because things just don't seem to quite fit. I started off with this part, which is the little outside gazebo part, and I absolutely love it. This is what inspired me to do it. I was like, I love this house, but that outside part, I just need to do it absolutely like a plum. I didn't really think, that roof is going to be hard. I mean, look at it, and I probably have like a million different roofs in there that you actually can't see that are being used, because I just kept piling them on top in the end, and it just felt absolutely crazy. I was like, right, let's just keep adding it until it looks right. So that's basically what I done, and as you can tell, it gets moved several times. It's not the last time it gets moved, and everything goes a little bit crazy on this build. I go up to a 64 by 64 plot, and I believe that one is actually this. I am confusing myself already. I love this build, I hate this build, and I enjoyed building it. Admittedly, I really enjoyed building it, and we're already gone to the interior like so quickly. But we'll carry on with all of that later before I get distracted. So moved on to the interior. I started off this way mostly because I wanted that outside gazebo, as I've already said. And then I kind of moved on to the interior. I carried on. Once I got the stairs in place, for me, having the stairs in place was really important. You've got four sets of stairs, and I didn't include one of them at this point. There was an attempt, and that goes from the kitchen up into another room, and these rooms, they get resized and everything gets changed quite a few times because I just couldn't get it right. You look at the floor plan of this build, and it looks quite simple. It looks nice and square, and so everything's perfect and sorted, nice and easy, and that's what I thought. Carried on, that was not so. It just gets bigger and bigger and more monstrous, and that's why I don't like this build. I feel like it's so big and bulky. I'm used to just having smaller builds or even bigger builds, but they have like a lot more curves and decoration to it, and the exterior is something that it looks quite elegant, especially compared to this. And this is a beast of a build. I love it. I love the way it came out, but not until I'd got all of the exterior done. So anybody that knows the Red Dead game, you may have noticed that I added a third floor. The third floor is more for the roofing. There's a lot of styling going on in the roofing, and I added rooms so I can make sure we had the windows and the styling. And obviously there are certain rooms on the second floor we can't get into, so I added them as bedrooms and other rooms, etc. And then I added the third floor as well, just because we had this decoration at the top. I thought I might as well utilise it, and I'm not going to have this big monstrous house and just have like one bedroom. So I done that as well, and that's the first major bit that really is not like the game. So the kitchen, it starts off well. We've got the two doors and everything goes amazingly. We've already seen like the little entrance hall while I've been waffling on my own little world as per usual, and the dining room, and they went so smoothly. And then you come into this kitchen, and then everything sort of is like, it's too small and you need to make it bigger, and then I make it smaller, and then I have to sort of change the shape slightly and then make the other room smaller, and it goes a little bit crazy. And in the end I actually get rid of the door on the left. So try and have a lot of this decoration. I moved the bottom surfaces, completely forgot what they're called, counters, and for some reason I couldn't get the plates on top. I was using the BB Move objects, and so it would just keep making itself move onto the counter instead, so I had to sort of wiggle them away. And at this point I don't have the stairs that were in the kitchen. I looked at this room, I looked at the room above, I tried to put them in, and I just didn't know how. And several times over I attempt this. So already moved up to the second floor. This was the first resizing project, and so basically where I was going to have the archways and everything, I ended up sort of creating a little balcony, pulling that front room forward where the entrance hall was, just so I could have a bigger kitchen because it was so tiny, and I still ended up getting rid of that other door, I believe. This floor is to die for. I went so over the top that I was really like, is this going to be okay? Is that not? And this is just mats, lots of little mats, all cut down so it looks like the picture, and it's all squares. And this is a beautiful piece. I absolutely loved creating this. The only bit that I was really happy with was the fishes. Just the fact that I got the fishes in. The fishes were a main piece on the fountain that was in game. They sort of stick out the other way, and they're a bit higher up, and they sort of form a little base on the fountain, and I was just so happy with that, and that was it basically. There's lots of gold in this room. There's lots of gold edging and things that I clearly couldn't put in. I tried putting the suns around the rim just to give it that sort of glamour to it. Went completely wrong. It's just like, this is just going to be over the top. We'll just stick with the plain colour and carry on from there. We've got the flower decoration, and we've got this other sort of big, I forget what they're called, but they sort of stick out, and these went to look like they supported the balcony above. I added the decoration above the doors. The decoration is actually more triangle in some areas than they are there, but I felt like it needed something, so I added the poles or the columns, whichever you want to call them, and then I tried to add the rest, and it just kind of didn't look right without something there, but I wanted it to be as perfect as possible. So already moved on to the next room. I hope you are not blinking too many times. You may have to watch this a million times as I have, just to try and say the right things and get them all wrong as per usual. So I started off in this room by doing the table, kind of squash it up the side and hope for the best. The piano clearly was not going to fit in there. I don't even know why I tried. That piano is like the size of the room and a bit more, so we add in the organ. And also the furniture in that room is also meant to be pink, the same as this room currently, and I do change it. I wanted it red because I just felt like these colours are clashing too much, it's too bright, it's going to be over the top. And then doing this room here, you'll see in a minute, I fell in love with this pink. These pink chairs, I was just like, I just love them so much, and I've got to make it right. It took me a little while to think about that, doing the bathroom in between, and I think I even start upstairs and I'm like, wait, I just go back down and I've got to correct this. It's a good thing because I wanted to make it just like as much as I could, like it was in game, and yet at the same time I really stressed myself about making sure everything's perfect, and just knowing that it was the wrong colour to me was just absolutely tragic. It was emotionally damaging, in all honesty. It was so stressful. I don't like that colour. A real internal battle. Anyway, carrying on upstairs, you can see, just nice and simple. I think the thing I found with making this isn't the first game that I've tried to recreate a house in. I've also done Dante Manor, but that had so much decoration and a lot going on that I didn't feel the need to add decoration and extra things. It was filled wall to wall, and it is absolutely amazing. It was an incredible build, and I'm not saying this one isn't, but I found that it was lacking in certain places, mostly because of decoration wise. There was a lot of room down in the dining room where it just seems like space. Obviously there was the other room where we just had the chairs around the outside, so I added dance floor, and then I also added some music just to make it look like it's used, and also means the Sims will go in there as well. These two rooms here, they were frustrating because it's not even the shape. I absolutely love the shape, but it kind of, the way it fits together, it made it difficult to add the decoration. Because I mean, even with that corner part with the bookcase, I tried to make the corner, and then obviously it was sticking off the edge because that bit wasn't long enough. But if I made it too long, then the whole build is going to be a lot smaller, and I needed that space. And as you can see, I actually managed to squeeze in those stairs, and that whole idea basically happened because I wanted the fireplace there. Obviously, to me, it needed to be there, but there wasn't a wall behind it, and I needed a wall behind it. So the door, there isn't a door. That sort of should be in between the bookcases on that left-hand side, and it isn't. And everything goes completely crazy. Obviously obsessed with floors. And just look at how much effort I put into doing the flooring and to make it look all pretty. And for this one, I thought I would have to do it in 4 directions, not thinking that actually there's only a vertical and horizontal side. So I ended up figuring that out, luckily, and just doing the 2. That made sense. Got confused, just getting distracted by my own video. I love watching these, and I kind of look back and I'm like, yeah, I done that. And of course, I'm looking at it now and I'm like, those don't match. And I'm really looking at it and getting really stressed. The long carpets, you've got 2 different styles, or lengths should I say, and I've done one length on one side, one on the other side, and I do recorrect it, and part of me is like sitting here thinking, where is it? Can I see it now? Can I not? I know the things I had to change, and I'm looking for them and waiting to change them just so I'm not annoyed by them. So I added a nice little reading corner under the stairs. That was a lot of room to not have anything. So I just added some chairs, a bookcase, a nice little place to hide. And then we go into the extra things that I haven't got any reference to. So all of this is just me adding things. And I am glad I done the 3rd floor, because this would literally be a 1-bedroom house if not, and obviously if I didn't have the stairs, maybe it could have been a 2-bed. And there are doors there, you just can't get into them. So I'm guessing they're meant to be bedrooms, but I still added the extra because I felt we're not having a house this big and having 1 bed. That just seems absolutely ridiculous, or even 2 beds. So everything is really about the floor in this build. I've done really different things that I've never even attempted before. So we've got this floor, and I normally just chuck it on using the shift button. Voila, it's all done. It's all one direction, perfect. And I had a bit of a brainwave just from looking at the other floors in this build, and I wanted to create something slightly more interesting than just chucking it in as per usual. And so we end up with a sort of diamond and cross effect, and I don't know whether you can actually see that or not. I can see it because I was staring at it for what feels like absolutely forever, so I really notice it. So at least I can appreciate it, and if not, it's all good, doesn't matter. So carrying on with the bedrooms, and my biggest downfall of this was that I was a complete numpty. The first screenshots I took, it was sort of raining and it was stormy, and so I didn't really necessarily see what I should have seen. And I come back to here later to add more, because it turns out all of the roof decoration is on both sides. So it's at the front and the back. Who would have guessed? Luckily, it was easy enough. There was a lot of shuffling around with roofs, which, to be fair, was a lot of trouble just to get it in that shape that it's in. But at the same time, it was just a matter of stretching it and moving it, so a lot simpler. So we've got these little trellis things. Absolutely love these. I've used them a few times. I've even created a room just so I can copy one, so I don't have to worry about decorating it every time. Something I have learned with the very first time I done this was in BB Move Objects. There are some hanging flowers, ferns, whichever you like to call them. However, if you use them, I believe that they are the ones from Island Living, and if you use them, your Sims cannot walk underneath them, but they drape down perfectly. And it wasn't until I'd gone into play and I was like, why can my Sim not get into their house? I literally just had one of these up on the deck, just as a nice little entrance way as you go up the stairs. The Sims can get through this one, so you don't need to stress about that. That was tested probably a million times by now, and that's all good. But if you do want to build one of these, it's such an amazing thing to build and get creative with. You can put loads of different plants there, and it is awesome. But if you use those hanging plants, you may come across trouble. You may be able to figure it out where I could not. That's all good. You may be better at this than me, and that's amazing, and I would love to see it. As I always say, this isn't necessarily about me showing off and saying what I can do. This is me saying, hey, I have no life, but look what I've done with it anyway. So I've changed the fence and everything and added a bit of decoration. This is all obviously on the build, I hope, unless I've just made it up. So there are actually like 3 different walls/fences on the outside. You've got this one at the front, which is foundation with the fence on top, because it has the effect of, basically it looks like what it's meant to look like, which is what I hope actually happens every time I do these. But you've got the wall part underneath and then the fence on top, so I used foundation for that. That's the main point. And then you've also got the brick wall that I used from the live edit objects in debug. I heard that gets changed. It is brick wall, it's meant to be brick wall there. I changed it to the white one just because I felt it fit the build a bit better. They were also sized down, and then we even have to add another one in later that goes across before the water. And it's not in the right place exactly, and as you can see, already resizing everything and replacing them to try and sort this out. My biggest problem with the garden and the biggest difficulty, as you can see, there's not actually much space in between this part and where the stairs come out. In between that part is meant to be a lovely, beautiful fountain, and it's got lots of flowers, and it is awesome. So I couldn't put this in the middle. I decided to do 2 instead. Like, if you can't get it right, you just add more. That seems to work perfectly, and that is pretty much what we move on to in a second. But at least I was clever about it. So I start off this part trying to figure out all the sizing for where it's meant to sit and everything else, and then I put in the flowers and everything. And I think actually before I do that, let's make it, if I'm going to do it twice, I am going to make it so I can just copy and paste. So put it all in a room, and then I realised that obviously then that gets rid of the little fences. So I end up creating one of these because they look like the fence thing makes it a room, and then I just copy and paste that, and everything kind of works well. And I absolutely love this feature. It's the best part about building in Sims. You can just select any room, you can go a little bit crazy and just duplicate everything, just put it everywhere, and exactly what I just done there with all of the little plant pots, except the smaller bits are a part of a fence that's in BB Move Objects, not Move Objects. I'm getting confused. If I don't say that at least once, everybody would be disappointed. But anyway, you've got that little bit of fence that I use for underneath. That doesn't copy across, so that's something to keep in mind, that if you do use anything from the debug menu, it will not copy if you pull it in a room that you want to transfer elsewhere. You can move it and it'll be there, but you cannot add another one like it. You then have to go around and put these objects back in. Actually taking a breath there. I feel like I've been talking so quickly. It's like I'm trying to keep up with the speed that the build is going up. So go crazy with the flowers. There actually isn't that many flowers on this part. There's lots of pink on one side, and then on the further side it's actually very tame, but I'm not doing that. Just go crazy with flowers, because that is how I do things. There's just me all over. If it's not over the top in the garden, then is it even a garden? So from this point I went back into game, and I'm basically fixing and adding things that I forgot or didn't see. I'm gonna use the excuse of the stormy weather, and there's lots of trees that I just completely forgot about, and that's not a bad thing, because once you put a tree in, that's it. You can't build around it because it's just like in your face. So it's always a good idea to leave trees till last, and completely forgot to decorate this little bit with flowers. There were quite a few things I had missed. And here we go on to the third floor to actually put the roofing how it should be, and making sure the decoration is on both the front and the back. Thank you for choosing this video, everybody. Absolutely appreciate it. Hope you enjoy it, and hope you might like Red Dead. If not, you should give it a go. If it's not your sort of game, it's all good, because you meet crazy people like me on there. Have an amazing day, stay awesome, and be nice.